I actually think that's the biggest issue that a lot of new investors make is they end up chasing shiny object syndrome. And so they're running from this strategy to this strategy to this strategy. You and I, we met in a mastermind. And if I started to sit back and look at all of the top people in these masterminds, most of those people lock in on one thing or two things, and they really get laser focused. And for me, it was like, okay, let me lock in, get really good at one thing, and then kind of branch off.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Brian Driscoll, and I'm here with Clifford Walker, the Cowboy Closer. What's up, man?
Okay, what is going on, brother? Man, let me tell you, I am just honored and blessed and privileged and excited to be here, man. I really am. I truly am.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on, dude. So you're down in Texas. Makes sense with the cowboy hat, right?
Yes, sir.
So give everybody a little background. Like, how did you get into real estate and what all do you do?
So it's kind of funny. I don't know how far back we want to go on what got me into real estate, but I was a truck driver when I got started.
You talking like a truck driver, like cross country, like the big...
Yeah, like the 18-wheelers.
18, yeah.
And I did that for 7 years, and I absolutely hated it. Brian, when I tell you I hated it, I hated every bit of it. And so it was weird because I was in West Texas, and I remember like it was yesterday, where if you've ever been out in West Texas, there's nothing out there but cotton fields and oil, right? And so the only thing that was on the radio, ironically, was a podcast. And it was a gentleman out of New York talking about how much money he was making wholesaling real estate. And so it's so mind blowing to me how God can put you in certain places, because I wasn't even into personal development like that at the time. But I was listening to this podcast because it was the only thing on the radio. And I'm like, wow, wholesaling real estate. And I was just hooked from that episode. And so I get home from on the road and I tell my wife, like, I'm going to start wholesaling real estate. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I just end up going down this rabbit hole from YouTube University and finally getting my first coach and mentor. And that's how it happened, me getting started in real estate. It was just that one little nugget, that one situation where I heard that podcast and it just sparked something in me. And I haven't looked back.
That's cool. You remember what the podcast was or who it was?
I forget the guy's name. I know it was, the podcast was called The Breakfast Club. And there was a gentleman, I think his name is Mark something. And I keep telling myself, I need to actually reach out to this guy and tell him it was his podcast that really sparked everything. I really did.
That's cool. I can just picture it too, because I've been in situations like I can picture you driving home to your wife. Probably had all that energy running through you and everything.
Yeah.
Pumped up. It's like, hey, getting into real estate.
Exactly. And she's like, what? We don't have no money for real estate.
Yeah. What year was that?
2019.
Okay. Yeah, it's about 5 years ago, something like that.
And it's been a blessing for me. It really has. So primarily what I do, I mainly do wholesaling is my main focus. I do buy rentals. I do fix and flips as well. But it's kind of weird because I keep wholesaling the main thing. And so when I come across like flip opportunities or great rentals or something like that, I typically have a partner involved. So that way it doesn't distract me from the main thing and keeps me on track there. So I can just pass that baton along and I still have flips going and other opportunities going to where I'm also not just getting caught in like a wholesaling hamster wheel, so to speak.
Right. How do you keep so focused? I know the real estate's a lot of shiny objects. Like, hey, we're going to do a flip. We're going to do this, do that. What made you say, hey, I'm focused on wholesale and I'm pulling people in to help with that?
Because I noticed, and I think it was just being aware. Like if you and I, we met in a mastermind. And if I started to sit back and look at all of the top people in these masterminds, like most of those people lock in on one thing or two things, and they really get laser focused. I actually think that's the biggest issue that a lot of new investors make is they end up chasing shiny object syndrome, right? And so they're running from this strategy to this strategy to this strategy. And for me, it was like, okay, let me lock in, get really good at one thing, and then kind of branch off. And then also too, it kind of helps like with fix and flips. I'm not that creative guy that says, oh, let's knock this wall out. Let's go pick out this backsplash. That's not me. I'm country. Okay. Like I don't have that decorative eye or skill about me. So I'm going to pass that on to somebody that knows all that good stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, know where your strengths are and find people that are strong where you're weak.
Exactly.
Cool. So you got into real estate. What did the first deal look like?
It was funny because my first deal was a divorce. They were facing foreclosure and it was a sub-2 deal. So I went over there, it was in Arlington, Texas, and I went and met with the husband and wife, and they literally were fighting like cats and dogs. And I am not joking here. I had to put them into separate rooms. And this is my first deal, y'all. So I have no idea what I'm doing, right? And I'm talking to the seller and my cash offer didn't work. And so I'm like, well, we could take over payments because I've heard about sub-2 and, my coach mentioned it. And he said, well, sometimes you can take over people's payments and do sub-2. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. And I'm like, you will? And somehow out of all the midst of that chaos with them arguing and putting them in separate rooms, I left there with a contract. And I ended up calling my coach at the time. I'm like, I got it under contract. What next? And it was just hilarious. And I think that's kind of a little point that I would like to point out to people, especially if they're getting started. I don't know the vast majority of the audience here, but if you're just getting started, don't feel like you have to have all the things figured out, because a lot of the times you figure it out in the doing and actually going through the steps, going through the process. Just say, okay, I know step 1, making my offer. Step 2, getting it under contract. Step 3, figuring the rest out later, right? Like, and that's all it was. Like, I didn't have all the steps lined out or my I's dotted or T's crossed, none of that. I just figured it out as I went. And now that I ended up wholesaling that deal to another local investor, which I wish I would have kept it. Oh, that house appreciated so much. But anywho, you live, you learn. I made $7,000 on that deal, my first deal. Now, I'm sure somebody's saying, well, that's not life-changing. I completely disagree. It showed me that this industry was possible, that it took it from hypothetical to actually, you mean to tell me I can serve people and get paid in the process, and I don't have to be at a job that I hate. I don't have to be away from my family. And I can make an impact in a completely different way by serving people. It was game changer. In fact, I ended up quitting my job within 3 months of getting started.
Yeah, and that's huge too. And an interesting point there. It's like the people that try to figure out the whole process, I think, never start. So it's like what you're saying is like, you got to go find someone who wants to sell their house, figure out the first step. Once you're done with that, figure out the next step.
Exactly.
Because I see a lot of people, and I think it's important too, because a lot of people knew, like, you're obviously not confident because you don't know what you're doing yet. So it's like, it's hard to get the nuts basically to be like, you know what, I'm going to go talk to the seller, tell them my intentions, I'm going to buy their house or wholesale or whatever, without knowing on the back. But you also have to surround yourself with people that you can like lean on. Say, hey, you know what, I got this part done. What's next?
100%. And I'll even say too, I truly believe that what we are doing as investors, as real estate professionals, we are building generational wealth by serving other people. I believe that to my core. And when you go into these conversations with sellers and you focus on serving, like, it relieves any pressure of you needing to be some type of grand closer, having it all figured out. Like, the serving is the baseline of everything that we do. And so it really helps, in my opinion. I mean, at least for me, yeah, it just makes the process smoother. for me because I'm realizing like, hey, I'm not here to work with everybody, where I'm not a good fit to work with everybody, but how can I serve you? How can I help you? And go from there. If not, no harm, no foul.
Let's talk about that a little bit for everyone listening too. So when you say serve, to serve people, can you elaborate so everyone understands what you're talking about there?
Well, I think that there's multiple layers of that. Like, say, for example, at least what we do, and even you, like, we find people who are in distress situations typically, right? Like they're going through tough seasons in their life. Maybe they're going through foreclosure or probate, like they just lost a loved one, a divorce, like my first deal, right? Well, they don't need some investor to come in there and pray on them. They need somebody to pray with them, right? And help them through that tough season in their life, right? Because that's all it is. It's just a season. We've all gone through tough seasons, right? And so I look and I say, okay, seller, how can I help, right? Should we list this with an agent, right? Should you fix this up and flip it yourself? Maybe have you thought about keeping it for a rental, or should I just offer you a cash offer and you be done with it? And so I kind of go through this checklist with the sellers, if you will, to where it makes me the best option, right? Where they say, you know what, we just need a cash offer. We need to be done with it. And so if that's the case, we'll offer that and move on or go that route. If they say, you know what, Clifford, I have time. The house is in good condition. I think I should just list this with an agent because I need as much as I possibly can get out of this property. Okay, let me connect you with an agent in-house that we have that can get that property listed and sold for you because I want what's best for my seller, right? Whether that's working with me or not. And so that's just one avenue of doing it. I mean, we've helped people with moving expenses. We've helped them find retirement homes, like a whole multitude. It just completely depends on the property and the situation the seller's going through.
Yeah, I think that's important too, especially for people starting out, to have that type of mindset, because a lot of people are like, you know what, I gotta, like you're saying, be a master closer. I gotta go and sell someone versus like if people are having problems, you have to be empathetic. It's like, okay, you're dealing with this. What are your problems? Here are the tools. I can wholesale it. Maybe I can sub to, I can flip whatever it is. It's like, let me see how I can help you out basically versus just locking up a deal and making a profit. Like, you have to make profit, but it's like, you want to try to find a win-win.
1,000%. Like, and maybe I'm just naive, but I believe that we can put people over profits and still run a profitable company, right? Like, people should always be the main focus on everything. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the massive assignment fees, the home run flip deals, right? The incredible rentals. Like, we all love those deals, but at what expense, right? Like, I don't want to just take advantage of somebody's situation because they're in a bad one. No, I want to help them out as much as I possibly can. And that's my main focus. That's my driving force.
I'm with you. So walk me through the one property away strategy.
Oh, so that's the master class that I host, where I do like a 3-day live event. And I just share how I do wholesaling, how I do fix and flips, how I buy rentals. But it's titled One Property Away because I think back to the time when I got my first property, right? My first wholesale deal under contract. That changed my life. I think that people need to focus on just getting the first one done. When we get the first one done, let's get the second one done, right? Or the third one done, taking it one at a time. So many times, and social media will have us believe that, you need to be doing 50 deals a month, 30 deals a month. You need to build this massive real estate empire. And that is absolutely not the case in so many scenarios and situations. And Brian, I'm sure like, let's be honest, most people aren't going to build massive companies like that, right? And they get intimidated. But when you focus on one, it can change your entire life like it did me, right? There's somebody here that's working a job that they don't like. They're maybe away from family like I was, and they don't like it. Well, real estate allowed me to get home to my family and do the things that are important to me. But it all came by just focusing on one property at a time. One property at a time.
Yep, I agree with that too. Because then it's something manageable versus like, I got to get into real estate and I see these guys doing 10 deals a month. It's like, just do the one. Once you figure that out, you'll get punched in the face a couple times and you'll learn. And then you do the second one and you learn. And then you do the third and then you can try to scale.
Exactly. And just let's put things in super simple perspective. If somebody here, like I'm 38 right now, if you buy just one single rental property in a high appreciating neighborhood for the next 10 years, are you going to be mad in 10 years that you only have 10 rental properties? Most people are not, right? Like that can be your retirement plan. And I don't care how old you are. If you're 65 today and you start buying one rental property a year for the next 10 years that you can leave to your family, are you going to really be mad about that? You're going to feel accomplished. You're going to feel like you have achieved something. You've literally built generational wealth. Those properties are probably going to double in value. Like, let's be honest about stuff. Let's be realistic. Like, it's not always about building a massive empire, right? Doing one flip a year, right? My biggest flip was $260K profit on one single flip, right? That's not the average, but what's the national average? Maybe 65,000. Right. What if you do one single flip a year, right? And you pay off some debt. You build for retirement doing one flip a year over the next 10 years. Right. Really not that bad.
Yep.
It's really not that bad. All right. And so I think that we do need to bring things down for people in such a simple, realistic form or way that is achievable, attainable, and doesn't put this unneeded pressure or stress that society has, you know? And I say that because I fell down that rabbit hole. Like, I'm following all the top gurus on social media, right? And I see the Rolls Royces, the Rolexes, the fancy trips, all of that stuff. And then I started downplaying the success that I have accomplished because I don't drive a Rolls Royce or a Ferrari, right? Like, I don't even think I could fit in a Ferrari. I don't know, right? I can't haul no cattle with no Ferrari, all right? But I started diminishing, if that's the right word, my personal success, and it just sucked the joy out of it. And I had to take a step back and like, you know what? No, like, I mean, that what's for them is for them and what's for me is for me.
Yeah, that's a good point too. A lot of times on social media too, those Ferraris are rented. Like, it's like a lot of times you're comparing yourself to someone like the richest people I know that are like truly rich, like in life, they're financially rich and also have a good lifestyle. They're driving Kias and Hondas and they're comfortable. They don't need to prove, hey, look at me and flashy. Like, some people's personality is just like that. They like that. But most people I know are pretty conservative because easy come, easy go. Like, it's like you can make the money. You can also lose it.
100%. A buddy of mine, one of the richest men that I know, personally know, accumulated massive amount of wealth. Drives a Ford truck.
Yep.
Big truck.
Right.
That's it. Right. So I agree with you.
Yeah. So, and that's a good point, especially starting out too, because people think, even me back in the day, I'm like, hey, you know what? I got to have fancy watches and stuff like that because I'm worried about what people think. It's like, when you start being successful, number one, it's different than what you thought it was going to be. It's like, it's actually easier a little bit too. It's like, once you figure it out and it's cookie, you just repeat.
Yeah.
But you also don't have to impress people because you're confident in yourself because you just did it.
Exactly. We're not trying to, you don't try to fake the funk at a certain point. You're like, no, I don't need to impress anybody. I'm not trying to draw, or at least for me.
Yeah. And most of the time, you don't want the other people talking like their opinions anyways. Cause it's like, I had to figure this out and it's totally different than what everybody told me to do. It's like, so I just got to put my head down and just like focus versus listen to all the noise.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, cool. So let's switch a little bit here. So I know you focus on health and mindset a lot as well. What do you see so real estate's a hustle, right? It's a lot of work. And I know a lot of people, especially when starting out, start working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, like just trying to do things and neglect their health. What do you do there to stay sharp and make sure you're not dying from a heart attack early?
I love it. And it's funny. You caught me in an interesting season where I'm really trying to take my health and fitness to another level. So for me, I'm extremely mindful now. Like I work out every single day, first thing in the morning, I bite the bullet. And I'm sure that if there's any health gurus on here, they're going to say you shouldn't train every day. Well, maybe they shouldn't, but I have to train every day. Okay.
Is that to keep the momentum going? Like, so you don't get lazy?
Exactly. And I have been now for over a year. I have not missed one single day. I would say probably close to 2 years maybe now.
Yeah.
But it just keeps my stress levels low. It's really beneficial for me personally. Yeah, it keeps my stress levels low. I get to let all my anger out on the weights in the gym. So I'm a person that when I actually train, I focus. Like I'm not in the gym typically talking and getting, like I'm locked in because I only have an hour and a half. Right. So I do as much as I possibly can in that time. But it's really good for my mental and physical for sure. So I would highly encourage everybody to get some type of workout routine going for them. Even my wife started training and she's noticed a major difference in not just her physique, but, you know, her mental health as well. Like she feels good. Her energy's high. Like it does so much. And I think that people, it's beyond the physical.
I think so too. I know. So I ride mountain bikes and then I'll work out and things too. And I know if I'm pushing myself hard, there's only one thing I can think about. It's the thing that I'm doing at that time. So it's like when you're really stressed, if you're exercising hard, you can't be stressed because you're focusing on like lifting the weights or not falling on your bike or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Like, it kind of like for the stress relief, it's like even doing those things forces your brain to quit thinking about like all the things that just keep cycling in there.
Exactly. If you're hightailing it down a mountain, like full throttle, you're tired or up a mountain, right? Like you're not thinking about what's going on. You're trying to make sure you don't bust your tail, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah. So,
and just making it to the top, like
100%.
And so that's a really big part of my mental and physical there. I'm also a really spiritual man. I'm a praying man. So I lean on my faith very heavy. And I'm a reader. It's so funny because I hear super successful people that say, no, I never read. I don't care about reading. And then I hear other successful people say, yeah, I read all the time. Well, I don't know if it's helping me or not. I enjoy doing it and I do it. I built the habit of just reading 10 pages a day. Super simple. It takes 20, 30 minutes because I'm a slow reader. And I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy it. So I also find the things that just give me clarity and peace.
What's your favorite book you'd recommend?
Of course, I'm going to lean to like the book of Proverbs, something in the Bible there.
Proverbs is good too. It's just like a whole bunch of quotes.
Yeah, it's just so much wisdom entwined in that book. But I'll say what's good for people too is focus on areas that you're struggling. Like when I first started in real estate, I didn't have any sales experience, any communication experience. So I was reading every communication book I could find, every sales book that I could find. I was practicing that stuff. And so work on those things that for the season that you're in. Now I focus on leadership, team building, systems, because we're in a growth phase right now. And so those are areas that I'm struggling. So I highly, and you can, what's cool too, is you can even create your own like growth plan through like ChatGPT or using one of those platforms and say, hey, I need a 6-month growth plan with books to help me with communication, sales, and leadership. And it's so cool because it'll create you like a whole plan just by something like that. So there's no excuse for people anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you on reading too. I find it amazing that you can spend $10 and find out the knowledge of somebody's entire life.
Exactly.
It's like,
exactly.
It's just all right there for you. You can learn anything you want. It is different than YouTube videos and things too. Books are different, I think.
I think books are different. And I'm really big on the actual book. So I like to highlight, take notes, spill jelly on it, like the whole nine. Like, I think that's, it's just part of it. And it breaks the monotony too, to put the phone down, put the computer away, put social media away, just pick up a book and calm your mind because it forces you to focus, right? We live in this attention seeking society where I forget what the statistic says, where people only have like 90 seconds or something crazy that they can actually stay focused, right? Or they can't concentrate. Well, pick up a book, right? Not saying that your mind won't wander, but you'll be forced to bring it back and focus.
Yep. No, I 100% agree there. So what's the best way for people to connect with you?
I'm very active on social media, on Instagram, Clifford, the Cowboy Closer, on YouTube as well. Anybody interested in getting started in real estate, I put a lot of informational videos in there. And I have free 5-step guides that people can download and help them get started with wholesaling if that's the journey they want to get going there.
Cool. And then you also do offer a masterclass, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually have one. Well, I don't know when they'll hear this, but they'll be able to see the link on the next up and coming masterclass. I typically do one a month.
Okay. And what's the website URL? Or should they check social? Like, is social the best place to check?
Yeah, it'll be on there. I think it's One Property Away Masterclass. Don't get me wrong.
So tell them your social channels handles again.
Clifford the Cowboy Closer across all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Nice and easy. All right, cool, man. Hey, well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, brother. It's been a pleasure.
Good stuff. Everyone out there, get out there, crush it, close some deals. We'll see you guys.